buscando. Quítate de estas páginas, hay gente.
Shut up.
Te van a ver a quitar mis papás. Mamá. Alright, so 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our second episode of Tequila in the Jarro. With me again is going to be my buddy Chavo.
Hi.
And today we have an actual topic. We're not just going to ramble about stuff.
Right.
Well, okay, yeah, it's going to be a really false promise to everybody. But we have a general idea what we're going to talk about. So we actually stayed pretty late the other day and finished watching the Alien movies that we had said we were going to finish watching like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah. So, I mean, you say Alien movies that night, like we watched all 3 or all 4, but no, we just watched one. But the thing is, we've watched 1 and 2 before.
Yes.
And we finally 2 years later watched part 3.
3, yes.
We're still missing Resurrection.
But we don't talk about that one.
I mean, it's
it's there, but we don't really talk about it because we've also seen Prometheus and Coven already.
Yeah.
Too. So we're literally just missing part 4 to have all the movies under our belt.
There's nothing wrong with Resurrection, by the way. He makes it sound like
it's weird. It's a weird movie.
It is weird, and it's weird in how it's weird.
Yeah, like it's just like it had a cool story going to it.
That's
like
potential.
Yeah, and especially like the whole build up. It was a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah.
Spoilers to whoever hasn't seen it. A 15-year-old movie or more. To think about like early 2000s maybe.
Yeah, something like that. That's it. I think we looked at it last time. But yeah, it's an old movie, and the cast was really good too. All the characters.
Everything was solid. The effects, everything was good. It was just the story was weird to me, because for those of you that haven't seen part 3 ends with Ripley throwing herself into a pool of molten lead.
1997 is when that movie was released.
Okay, well, 23 years old. You should have seen that movie by now. I
should have. And if you haven't, it's cool because you've neglected it, and it's completely understandable. It has, in my opinion, I think it has nothing to do with, the story, and it was supposed to, I guess, kind of like try to do something with it. I don't see why they brought it back. Like, I just don't like when people try doing or bringing back a certain
character somehow
or franchise, and it's just like, it was perfectly fine the way it ended. Why?
Well, it felt like a money grab. Like, if you really think about it, because the way it's set up, they really stretched it. It's like they somehow pulled her DNA out of a giant molten tub of like lead.
I don't think it was out of the tub. I mean, she was just, her DNA was all around.
Yeah, but okay. So that's her DNA. But then they also got the alien queen DNA, which was in her body when she jumped into the tub of molten lead. And that just, like, I get it, it's in the future, they have androids, but come on.
Androids?
Yeah, that's where I draw the line. Like, space travel, all of that I can get behind. But
I don't know how much further into the future it was. Like, I really don't remember. Maybe they do mention it, but I don't remember.
Yeah, I want to say they do it. It's supposed to be a good...
It's been a long time.
Yeah, because that's the one where they show her daughter as an old lady, isn't it?
No, it's part...
Yeah.
That's in part 2, dude.
Is it in part 2?
Yeah, it's Aliens, by the way. In Aliens is when they show her daughter, but her daughter's already got a couple miles on her and she's already dead.
Yeah.
But she had been searching for her mother. Anyways, that's where she makes an appearance in part 2, Aliens.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, like that was just a weird story because the way that the first 3 were set up was pretty cool, where they slowly kind of expand on it, but it still leaves a whole bunch of mystery, which is what I like from my movies. Because I feel once you flush out the lore to sound fancy, it kind of takes that magic from it or that intrigue from it, and it kind of just makes it boring. Like, to know everything.
I mean, yeah, I guess, and yeah, like, well, I guess, like, once you've established, the species and or what you think you know about the species and about the characters, you know, I think that's a solid movie. But in this case, they just kind of threw in some random, you know,
yeah.
So they clone her
And the queen.
and the queen. Yeah,
somehow
they cloned her with the embryo still inside of her, and some way somehow DNA got crossed. So aliens a hybrid, and the alien, the xenomorph, is a hybrid, and apparently the alien has a womb, and Ripley has incredible strength and
acid blood. Yeah,
it's not as potent as, but it can fry some shit.
But even then, that you can kind of argue that it's too much of a stretch too, because she has acid blood, but she still has human skin.
Sure, yeah.
So wouldn't it have just?
Hey man, it's the future, like you said. And it's a movie, and you know what? That's kind of the cool thing about movies is that, or books. You know, you can. Your imagination is
whatever you want it to be.
Whatever you want it to be, man. Like you have, like there's some movies out there that I've come across, like Eraserhead. Like that movie was.
I'm gonna blame Duck for that one, for that.
Yeah.
That beautiful gem of don't look it up.
That was don't watch it. And I actually, maybe I shouldn't have brought it up, but there's some really abstract movies out there, and I should knock it. You know, if you want to watch it, go ahead. But I mean,
you've been warned.
For me, I was just kind of like,
some weird shit.
This is too much. Yeah, like I have no idea what was going on in that movie. But in this one, you know, the characters some way somehow came to be, and you know, it's just.
Well, I mean, if you look past that point, the whole like how this makes no sense whatsoever kind of point, the rest of the movie's not terrible. Like. It's not that bad.
If you can, okay, yeah. If they continued with the story, I don't think it would have been that bad. But some of the things that they did were a little
weird.
Were a little weird. Like when, you know, one of the characters pulls out these wristlet guns and shoots them at a pipe, and they ricochet, and they some way somehow, you know, hit certain person, a guard in the head, and then they're able to
move around.
Yeah, move around and get things going and stuff. There were some things that were a little like, come on, dude, that's a little too much.
It's the future, man.
Yeah, of course, it's the future. But the ending of the movie, they end up going back to Earth, and I believe in I don't know if it's the director's cut or maybe just the uncut version, whatever. They actually make it to Earth. But the thing that always intrigued me about it was like whenever all the characters find out that the ship redirected to go back to Earth, everybody freaks out and everybody's like,
yeah,
we're going back to Earth, you know, like, oh, you son of a bitch. You know, everybody's like hating on it, like, whoa, what happened to the Earth, man? Like,
well, because I think,
and they do show it, and it's pretty much a wasteland.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because like from what I remember, like Earth just gets all kinds of messed up, and then eventually it gets infested with aliens.
I'm assuming they probably could have gone with that.
Yeah, well, at least like from what I've seen from the comics is that somehow they get an egg to Earth, you know, Wayland doing their thing, and aliens do what aliens gonna do and spread like wildfire, and they're supposed to have like a really bad infestation, and somehow they get it under control, but they're still in Earth, but they're kind of like just small hives hidden throughout.
Like they became like an invasive species, and
yeah, pretty much. And just
they became an insect.
Yeah, it's just that we kind of have it under control. So like as soon as you spot one, it's like, hey, they're there, and they're supposed to come in and
take care of shit.
Yeah, and clean house with it.
Yeah, some of the comic books are really good. You know what they were trying to do with, like there was one comic book in particular, or graphic novel that. I think like the opening one is where they're talking about the aliens and how they didn't just weaponize the alien, they kind of took from it and they made like medications.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, there was a where I think it was called Xenozip, where he pops it and it's like a hardcore version of a pre-workout.
Oh God!
So he takes this pill and he takes like he has a race to run in like 10 minutes or something like that, or maybe less. He pops it. It's all fucking, you know, all wired, and they're all at the starting line, and bah, you know, the gun goes off, and he takes off to the finish line. he breaks a world record, you know, for running the 100-yard dash in like I don't know how many seconds.
God, dude.
But the trouble with it is that he couldn't stop, and he ended up smashing into a wall,
Oh.
and he just basically splattered himself, you know, all over the wall, and everybody's like, "Oh,
holy shit!"
You know, that kind of thing, and you know it kind of gives you a different, like, they weren't just making the aliens to
a
be
weapon.
Yeah, they were looking into other stuff,
which is what the movies lead you to believe, that they only wanted them for weapons. Yeah, like they mentioned it a couple of times, like, yeah, I know they're trying to weaponize it. Yeah. But the comics did some pretty cool things with it, where they expanded it in a whole bunch of different ways, because they did that. They also kind of redid part 3, and they kind of brought back some of the characters, but they had to slightly alter their names, but it was implied that it was the same people. Like Newt's supposed to be one of them, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's Newt, but not, because in the movie she's dead, but in the comic world she's not dead.
Yeah, and I know in the video games, I don't know why part 3 got the hate that it did. I thought it was a really good movie myself, personally. Both versions, the cut and uncut, director's cut version.
I've only seen the director's cut, and it was really good.
Okay, yeah. It's a really good movie, and you know the bigger differences are, like, you know, in the cut version, it comes from a dog, the xenomorph, and in the uncut version, it comes from a bull, and then it kind of expands and it shows you this giant fucking face hugger.
But even then, you can miss it. You can miss the giant face hugger because it's only on for like a second. It's kind of like, what's this? And that's it.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. It's one of those, like, if you turn around or you grab some popcorn.
It's you completely missed it. And even then you could be watching, because I was watching the movie and I kind of really wasn't paying attention to what the guy was doing in the background.
I think I had to tell you, like, look.
Yeah, because I thought it was just like part of the meat or something that you know that he had left behind, and I was like, oh, that's a big ass face hugger, man.
But in the cut version, obviously it doesn't show you that. It just shows that all of a sudden the dog, some way somehow picked up a xenomorph, and
now it's running around.
Yeah, now it's running around. It's birthed and all that stuff, and it's a good movie, though, in my opinion. How it was, how David Finch, Finch, whatever, put it out. Let me just make sure that I don't want to get his name wrong, but it is David Fincher.
Well, even then, what he added to the lore was pretty cool. Like, because before we had that xenomorphs, as far as we knew, had to be born from humanoid-looking people, not necessarily humans, just something that looked bipedal. Yeah, and that's where it was getting its shape.
David Fincher.
Yeah, and then part 3 is like, nah, it can do it from anything that is organic and alive,
and it just kind of takes on some characteristics.
Yeah. So because it was taking humanoids, it was bipedal. Since it took the dog or the bull, it's on all fours.
Yeah, it's faster and more aggressive, and
like that was pretty neat, because it really expands to it, and it makes more sense, because you're not gonna have humanoids everywhere in the universe. You know, there's gonna be like a planet where, you know, you
have predators, or you have whatever.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, it's a good adaptive mechanism. Yeah. But the bull thing kind of messes with it too, because there's the scene where the guy, when he first sees the xenomorph hiding in the tunnels.
I know where you're going.
Yeah, he's like, hey, buddy, what are you doing? And now it's kind of like, why is he going in there acting like it's a friend? Because they don't show the dog
at all.
And like whatsoever. So I didn't know there was a dog in the movie until you told me about it. And I was like, why? Like, that's just like something really dumb. Why are you gonna look at a broken pipe that looks like acid melted it? But you know, that makes sense if you watch the cut version, because they actually show the dog. They could have just easily just shown the dog in this version, and it would have made sense.
Yeah, at least I didn't see a dog, and I have yet to see the dog.
I don't remember seeing a dog,
but I don't remember seeing it. But I mean, so that's I thought it was a good movie. Aside from, you know, the differences, I mean, the cast was really good. The dialogue was really good.
The story was pretty solid.
The story was pretty solid, yeah. I mean, you know, an all-male cast, and then
She's the only female.
They're on a prison, and then they have to, kind of contend with that, I guess. And I don't know. It just came out real good in my opinion. Solid characters.
And the cool thing that I found with it, I'm not sure if you experienced it too, was that it was supposed to be a prison, and there was a lot of people in it. I think they mentioned like 100 and something inmates. Yeah. And then that went down to like 25. 25. Yeah. But even then, like for like the first half of that movie, it feels super isolated. Yeah. Unless they're showing the scenes when they're in the cafeteria. Yeah. But like other than that, it's only like 1 or 2 people per scene, and in this huge empty room, and you're supposed to be safer there than.
Or unless they're like in the cafeteria having lunch or whatever. But
yeah.
Even then, you don't get the full on like all 25 of us are here.
Yeah, because I think like at most they only ever showed maybe like 15 people. Yeah. And that was towards the end, right before they did like the whole plan.
Or where they were
like mobbing and everything. And even though they all kind of looked the same,
yeah,
it was hard to tell them apart. It's like, are you sure that's not the same? Do you think he just died like 2 minutes ago?
Yeah, there's, I mean, I don't understand why it got the hate that it did. I don't know. Maybe people were just, because they just came off of Aliens, and it was super action packed. Back down to this,
It feels more mellow, actual like.
Yeah, and you're in this real tight psychological space, and there's just tunnels, and it's just. It was a very, very different vibe. There's no combat marines and stuff. And I thought it was really cool that they brought back
actual survival because there was no guns.
Well, that too, but like I thought it was really cool that they brought Bishop back.
Oh, yeah, for those couple of scenes.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of questions out there about like how the Xenomorph got onto the Sulaco and stuff like that. And how did one of them make it back into Earth, and how did Ripley get impregnated? And there's just a whole bunch of...
Yeah, because as far as I know, they never really explain any of that, do they? Because...
What?
How the egg got into her ship? Or how the facehugger got out? Because, like, normally, at least up to that point, facehuggers only trigger if there's motion nearby.
So that's like the running theory, it's not like
that's right. It's not for sure, but so far as we can tell, they're hibernating until something walks in front of them, and then they jump at it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a facehugger. Like, it's time to hatch.
Yeah, they're kind of just there until they feel warmth or movement, because again, they haven't really specified if it's the warmth they feel, or if it's like actual just movement or something.
So there's a whole bunch of like fan theories out there, like, oh, maybe Burke from Alien was able to sneak one of the specimens, and then I think there's another theory where like they were thinking that Ripley got impregnated during Aliens when she took a nap with Newt in the room, that Burke snuck in
and dumped the egg.
Dumped a facehugger in and stuff. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there that that went around. I mean, if there was if a Xenomorph was able to get onto one of the landing birds that they came in on, I mean, why not?
Why not an egg?
Yeah. No, it wasn't an egg. It was a full on fucking
facehugger.
Yeah, it was a full on Xenomorph.
Oh.
And it's the that infamous scene. Game over, man. Game
over. Yes. Yeah.
So one of the Xenomorphs was able to make it onto one of those things. So I mean, it's just. Now, a full-on egg, I don't know. I mean, I don't even know how the Queen managed to get on to, the Sulaco in the first place. But, I mean, it was there.
Because the way that I had understood it was kind of like those... I think like some species do it where if there isn't a leader, one of them becomes the leader. Like, it'll transform.
Sure, yeah.
Like, I know there's like certain fish, they do that they'll become male and... They'll go from like female to male, and they'll become like the leader of the pack. So I kind of figured that was their whole shtick, because they have the whole hive mentality thing going on. Yeah. So it was like there has to be a queen, so that one dude that survived will eventually become a queen and allow that reproduction to happen.
Yeah, I know there's another. I want to say there's a comic book where I think Bishop became an egg.
What?
Not an egg, or he grew an egg where the queen sticks him right and then splits him in half, and then they put him into stasis, and then what is left of his torso turns into
The egg.
An egg, yeah.
Okay.
And then that hatches. That's in one of the comic books. There's and this is like really old reading for me, man. Like I don't remember a lot of that stuff. But I know the book. Not the book. The video game. Aliens, Colonial Marines. I believe it's what it's called.
The first one. The battle one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the battle one.
Did you play it?
No, but I heard enough to know that it was a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, it had so much potential, and the whole point of it was to be a part two. To part two. Yeah, it was supposed to be Aliens 2, technically, Colonial Marines, and it kind of expands on what happens after Hadley's Hope was blown up, by the by the reactor and stuff like that, and who came. And it's not a bad game. It's just the gameplay was a little. Ugh.
It was Well, okay, so apparently, because I looked up a bit of it, and it was one of those videos like 107 facts about the Colonial. Yeah, and apparently, because the guys who made it is the same dudes that made Borderlands. Well, because Gearbox was the one responsible for it, and then they hired like a separate company to take care of it. Mm-hmm. But Borderlands, the Gearbox kind of didn't care for it, and they were dedicating all their time and resources to Borderlands because they wanted to make that their main IP.
Okay.
And they kind of just neglected Colonial Marines, and they pushed it and just kind of let it go to heck. Mm-hmm. And the dudes were like, "Hey man, we need this and that," and they were like, "Yeah, we'll get to it eventually." And that's why it kind of just became this terrible mesh. But it had all the potential. It's just that they never cared for it.
It really did have a lot of potential, and they even, brought back Hicks. Apparently Hicks survived. You get to find out what happened to Hudson. Did Hudson survive? If you remember Hudson was the badass of the Colonial Marines. Yeah. He was going off, and then he ends up getting dragged under one of the floor things. You never know what happens to him after that. Did he survive? But it shows what happened to him, and I won't spoil it. Go play it. So yeah, just go out and it kind of shows you a lot of little, I guess you can call them Easter eggs. But yeah, for sure, they bring back Hicks, and then it explains, how Hicks came to be, and it also explains how in Alien 3 there's a body that is found in Hicks's cryotube.
Oh yeah, but it's like a mesh, and
yeah,
it's just like
whatever fell on whatever support beam fell on Hicks in the cryo chamber ends up just mutilating him beyond
recognition. Like it's just like
it's just like, okay, it's
gut and whatnot.
It's Hicks, we'll just say it is. And but yeah, no, apparently Hicks survived and stuff like that, and there's a DLC on him that you can download and play. And it shows you all that stuff, but yeah, it was supposed to, I guess, I don't know, fix things, but I don't see why it needed fixing in the first place, in my opinion.
I think they just wanted to fix like a couple of like loose ends, or maybe tie up a couple of loose ends,
I guess.
And that's when it kind of just went bad, because I just really started playing Isolation. Like I'm maybe in the first 3 chapters or something.
Okay, so Isolation is supposed to take place between Alien and Aliens.
Yes.
Somewhere there, Ripley's daughter is trying to find
whatever happened to the Sulaco, because they don't really know where it's at.
It's not even the Sulaco dead.
Isn't it?
No.
God, man,
she's trying to find out what happened to the Nostromo.
There you go, the Nostromo. Yes. Too many ships, man. Too many names. Yes, she's trying to find any clue of what happened to her mom, because as far as they're aware, nobody knows what happened. Like it's just like, this is the last place we knew where she was at, and she's just gone. Mm-hmm. So good luck with that.
Pretty much, yeah. And it sucks because, well, I mean, you need to go out and play it, and you need to finish it. Yeah. So I won't ruin it for you. It is a really good game.
I hate that Alien. I hate that it's too realistic. And it just shows me that if I was to be in that scenario, I would die immediately. I would be the first person to die.
What setting are you playing it on?
I was playing it on the hard setting.
Good.
Not because it said like this is the recommended thing, and I reached a point where I've met the alien 3 times, right? But it's kind of just like small interactions. This is the first time where he's actually hunting me down. Mm-hmm. and it's just going terrible.
Yeah, no, I mean,
It's
you gotta hide and you gotta be patient. You know, it's like when we play Friday the 13th.
Yeah, just play it smart.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, dude. I got stuck prior to it because I didn't know what to do, and there was like three dudes with guns. Every time I would walk in, they would just shoot me down. Eventually, I realized, hey, you're supposed to sneak around and go to like another spot, and I was like, oh, okay. And then after I was like, yes, I got this game, papita. Androids won a thing for me. Then I got to the alien, and the alien's like, this is as far as you're gonna get.
Get out of here, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm kind of like, oh, whatever. So then I tried playing the DLCs because the one that I have comes with the expandable crew, which is pretty much Alien 1, and then The Last Survivor, which I'm guessing is gonna be Alien 2.
Now I'm curious. I should go back and replay that because I just barely got Wi-Fi.
Oh, did you know? Like actual Wi-Fi?
Well, no, just whatever hotspot.
Oh, okay.
So I've been using that to like download stuff here and there when I can, but I just played the game itself standalone. I didn't know that DLC was coming out for it, so I'm not.
There's a whole bunch of DLC. That's just like 2 of them. There's some like other stuff they added to it that I don't have the other stuff. I just have those 2 DLCs because it came with the special they had for like $8 or something.
Not bad.
But on that note, we're gonna take a quick break.
Sure.
And then our sponsor that we don't have. Bang! Come on, dude. Do it for all 3 of our viewers. Back to the movies. There's a new one that's gonna come back after Bang, so generously sponsored our episode.
Did you see that we were in focus?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I had to go back and make sure. Hopefully this time the video quality will be better than last time. We're still new to this, so we're getting the hang of it. Baby steps. We need that monitor. Yeah. So there's the new Alien movie that's gonna come out, the Alien Awakening, and that's supposed to be pretty cool, because it's supposed to pretty much tie up everything together. Because to my understanding, they're retconning part 3 and part 4, I think, at this point, or at least part 4. So they're changing the story to it, but it kind of contradicts itself a bit, because if you see like Prometheus and stuff like that, it makes it look like David created the xenomorphs that we see in part 1.
Yes.
But if you look at the ship, they have like it's already pretty clear that they've had xenomorph eggs for a while. Like they have like a farm of them in the spaceship and everything. So it doesn't, it's like a whole bunch of them. So it doesn't make sense. Like, how is it that they have like this giant arsenal of eggs?
Yeah.
If David just created them, a couple years back.
Did David barter said eggs with, engineers that they found it with, an engineer?
Yeah, because it as far as we're aware, when David gets to that other planet, which I completely forgot the name of, he just kills everybody. Like he just, I'm gonna bomb the place. Does it, gets rid of everybody. So I'm pretty sure the space jockeys are not gonna be in good terms with him, and even then they hate artificial life form. They or at least that's what is hinted at.
Yeah, it's implied.
Because every time they see an android, they just get mad and rip them apart. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense to, let's not have them here.
Yeah, there's I don't know, like, I mean, I remember, reading, and, a good friend of mine, we used to just stay up and talk about this stuff, a lot. I feel bad because I haven't kept up with, the lore, like the way I should have, like the way I did back in the day. But I remember we used to stay up and talk about it, and we used to just throw out our own ideas about stuff. And I remember, like, one of our favorites, I'm pretty sure it was his too, was, the theory that, the xenomorphs were weapons, and that the engineers were kind of like peddling these eggs as weapons, and they were selling them off. Yeah. And they were basically like just kind of used to wipe out planets.
Yeah, because they kind of hinted at that, didn't they? Like, I know that's implied somewhere, because I've heard that before, where they're like, they would sell them to other people to see, who would pay them.
Creatures.
Or yeah, like, hey, you know what? Here's this egg. this is all you need to wipe out, whoever it is.
Yeah.
That is giving you.
I'm pretty sure
problems.
the Predators were probably like their number one buyers. Like, give us a couple eggs. We're gonna go on a hunt.
Yeah, because I mean, even then, that's another whole can of worms.
Yeah.
Ever since the crossover, because the way that I took the new lore quotations was that xenomorphs have been around for a while. It's just different variations that have been around. So the xenomorphs that David is making is not the same xenomorphs from part 1, because even then they all look different, because the one from part 1 looked like mechanical.
Very.
Yeah, like it looked like super mechanical compared to the ones that David is doing. They look a little bit more organic, I guess, if you want to get at that. Because they're all supposed to be just completely different types. You have like your deacons and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm not too sure what I don't know what I like I said I haven't kept up, and I don't know what Ridley Scott decided to do. I know at one point he wanted to do a movie that was not aliens, and then he just ended up saying screw it,
it's aliens now.
I'll throw in an alien there just for the fans and stuff like that. And then you had that scene where that guy kind of looks like an alien but isn't an alien, but he climbs around the walls and he gets shot at with fire.
That's Prometheus, huh?
Prometheus.
When he gets infected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he's like. Bleh.
Yeah, he gets all weird. And then if you look at like the director's cut, or I guess the unfinished version, he does look like a fucking xenomorph.
Yeah, like he's straight up transforming.
Yeah, like So I don't know. I don't understand. I don't really know what the black goo is and what that's all about. And I don't know. It's just a weird thing for me. And then David, goes off and creates life. And I get it. He wants to, his maker.
Yeah, technically like one up.
Yeah,
his maker in a way, because it's like you're an android, you can't create anything. Yeah, but then he's like, yes, I can, watch me.
Yeah, pretty much. And it just kind of goes off from there. And then you end up with, like you said, these different versions of an alien. Yeah. And
because just in those 2 movies, they show 3 different versions? 4?
Yeah, the one that comes out of the deacon, I guess, that comes out of the Promethean or the engineer. Or whatever. Yeah. And then
you have the white one.
Yeah, the white
one. The super aggressive, cool looking little white one.
The one that comes out of, I think it's called a backburster or something. Yeah. Like that. I think that's what they called it.
And then
comes out of the back.
The one from the very end, the huge one. The one that's like stupidly tall that gets on the ship when they're leaving.
Oh yeah. I guess you could call that the
first
one that we know.
Yeah, but even then, it wasn't exactly like the one from part.
Yeah, that one. That one to me looked a little more like real lanky and real.
But it looked close enough, because that was the first one that was like fully black, I guess. Yeah, because the other were like grayish color and white albino kind of color.
You're talking about the one in
in the first 2 movies. Yeah, they look kind of weird. So it makes sense to where there's like, hey, this is just a way of creating this kind of creature. Depending on the host, it's what you're gonna get. Because again, they don't really explain too much into it, because they explain the goo, and that if you touch the goo, you die. And then there's also that pollen from the flower. Remember that?
Yeah,
he steps on the flower and
it goes into his ear or something like that.
So it's like, is that the same as the goo, or was that just a different parasite that messed with him?
Again.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that they don't explain. Yeah. And then like the last thing that kind of threw me off too was that at the very end, he has the actual alien embryos. Yeah. And it's like, where did he get those from? Like, how did he make them to begin with? Like that.
How did he store them? Yeah, I mean.
Like there was a whole bunch of loose ends, and apparently this one was supposed to fix all of that. But there's just way too much that isn't explained. And it kind of bothers me, but at the same time, it's like, it needs to not be explained for it to make sense.
Just so you kind of keep going?
Yeah, so just so you can kind of keep going. Because I mean, at this point, what more can you do? Like, the only thing they could do, because they already did the prequel, they have the regular 3 or 4 movies, is they have to do a completely new story that just what happens takes place in that same universe. but it's gonna be hard for them to actually expand like, hey, this is more lore about the aliens, or this is more lore about space jockeys, because everything's pretty much already covered.
Yeah,
like there's not.
I kind of feel like it kind of throws a wrench in the first Alien movie that I watched, which was the original Alien with Ellen Ripley and stuff like that, and the Nostromo. And the engineer, the famous scene of the engineer just kind of laid out and chest open and kind of this big giant fucking thing right here in front of it. Like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
But and it's nice to see all that stuff in the Covenant movie and in Prometheus. Seeing the derelict, the ship and stuff like that. It all looks it. Watching it, I'm just like, oh man. Oh yeah, look, check it out. It's this, it's that, and it's the chair that the
dude was riding on.
And then you just end up with this movie that just kind of, or story that just kind of like, what did it do?
Yeah, because I mean that was cool. Because in part one, when they show the dude, you don't really know what he looks like. Because I thought they looked like elephants, but it's like no, that's just
a mask.
That's just a mask. That's just his armor. And then it's like, okay. Something got out of him. How big was that?
Yeah, and what got him?
Yeah, because that's because if you look at the other movies where they do show him, they look like they can go hand to hand versus an alien, like no questions asked. Yeah. It's not like
at least the aliens that we've
seen.
Yeah,
because it's not like with the Predators. The Predators, they can take him down with all his gadgets, but because they're pretty strong. But then you see the space jockeys, and those guys can just rip anything apart they want. Like
they're big.
They're huge dudes. They're like 8 feet tall or something.
Yeah, and they're really old and stuff like that. So you'd think they would have like some
contingency to it.
Yeah, and they've obviously thought ahead because they're a super advanced alien race and stuff like that. But when they end up on the planet with where they come from, you see a whole different version
of them. Yeah,
like you see like families, and you see
it's like a weird kind of like religious cult kind of thing going on.
Yeah, and it's super weird, man. So I don't know, like I'm curious. I had seen some stuff, and I've heard mumbles and grumbles and YouTube and Alien Awakening, and I want to say
one more year.
I think they were even saying like Sigourney Weaver might even come around or something like that, and I don't know how. I don't know. Maybe they'll throw her name in, like,
or like a little picture or something.
Yeah, like, hey, the Nostromo. There's a young up and coming, whatever engineer, whatever she was. I don't remember what she was anymore. Or maybe they'll show like a dossier of
like, hey, this is the next crew or whatever.
Yeah, this is the crew that's coming on. You see the name.
I see it. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, well, I mean that'd be really great, right? But I don't know, man. Like I think I just don't. Like I was saying earlier, I just sometimes I think some things should just be like, okay,
left the mystery.
This is done.
Yeah,
this is what. Go ahead, have at it. Make your own theories, comic books, video games. Because video games and comic books, they just take different.
Oh yeah, yeah. Wait, I mean, because besides the fact that they're different mediums, you can tell a story completely different in one than in the other.
Yeah. And it's not that I don't agree with what's being put out there, because like you said, it can go in so many different ways, but it's just you're retelling something that's
already,
I don't know what you're doing now. Like, what'd you do?
Yeah, no. I mean that's for sure, because I remember reading up on, I think it was the last movie, and because of the same thing. Like I was like, what's up with the space jockeys? They look like a small, tiny civilization. They don't look like they have much going on. And apparently, from what I saw, was that there's like different classes to them, and the ones that we saw were like the lower end, like the ones that weren't worthy enough to go
and travel.
Yeah, and travel and be merchants and stuff like that. They were kind of just like left behind, kind of thing.
Oh look, we're the good ones. We can start life on other planets.
Yes, and say
drink the goo.
Yeah, you don't get to do that. You just stay there and do whatever space jockeys do.
Be religious.
Do
whatever, go farm.
Yeah. Because even then, it's not really shown too much. It's like all 2 scenes that they come out in.
Yeah, it's a real short thing. And you just see David releasing the
canisters.
Whatever. And apparently he wipes out the whole planet.
Yeah.
And it's like, holy crap.
You know? Like, that's terrifying too, because
Yeah.
it was just like from one ship was enough to wipe
Take
out
care of
everything.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he overshot it too.
Like, oops.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that.
Yeah, it's probably like, hey, just gotta get rid of this one town. Oh, there goes the continent.
My bad.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I remember seeing that they were trying to tie it up, I guess, to kind of like real world, and apparently in the original concept, Jesus was supposed to be related to the space jockeys. Like he was supposed to be like sent by them to see kind of like a test to see how worthy they were, and then when they killed them, the space jockeys were supposed to come back and kind of wipe out humanity. Because yeah, like it was one of those things that's apparently that's part of the original script.
Okay.
Was that they created us, and then they made Jesus, but I guess he didn't want to touch the whole religion thing because that's a touchy subject, so he completely scrapped that out. But that was supposed to be like one of the original concepts to it, and that's why that's why they ran into the other ship when they were, I guess, exploring away from Earth. Was because they were heading towards Earth to kind of go in and mess it up, and that's when everything kind of just hit the fan.
That's pretty crazy. All right, I again, that's that's when you like need to like look at the special features on the Blu-ray or something.
So apparently that was the whole thing behind it. That was the original story. I think that would have been cool as shit.
Yeah,
but I can see why they decided to stray away from that.
A different path.
Yeah, because it makes sense. You don't really want to mess with that. But I think in the special features, I think that's the one that actually shows you what happens between Prometheus and Coven. Because there is a little bit of like gray in between, and it kind of shows you like, hey, you know what? He killed her, and he experimented on her body, and that's how we get the white aliens. I forgot that the spine bursters, what are they called? The little albino ones.
The backbursters.
Yeah, I
think they have a different name. I'm pretty sure they have a different name.
But apparently, if you see that, it makes sense. Or at least Coven makes sense, but you need to watch that little area. Which I mean, it bugs me that a lot of movies do that. Is that you delete something that's like super important to save on time, I guess. Yeah. But by doing that, you kind of ruined half of the story. So I don't.
Or when you rush things, you can, the same thing happens, and that's actually the neomorph.
Neomorph.
Is what it was called, the white one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have a mouth, or it's all.
It had a mouth, it just didn't have the second mouth.
See it. I don't know. It was weird, and
it was more aggressive too, from what I remember.
Yes, it was super. I mean, and that's because it looks real nice at the beginning, and then it gets pretty wild.
Yeah, because the later xenomorphs, when they burst, the first thing they do is run away. And this one did it.
Yeah, this one just...
It's like, oh, there's people, I'm gonna murder you.
Kill it, yeah.
Yeah. But they never explained either how they get so big so quickly. Right?
You talking about these or the...
Or, like, just xenomorphs in general. Because, like, the one for part 1, it hatches, runs away, and the next thing you know, it's huge.
Yeah, it molts and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like, well, you need matter to make matter, so how... Yeah.
So, in the... video games, I remember you would go, and some of the comic books, they kind of like go off and they eat like cockroaches and rats.
Oh, just whatever they can find.
Yeah, whatever they can find, and they eat. And then eventually, after like a certain amount of time, which is actually very quick, they kind of go into this molting phase, and then you end up with this big giant. Fucking, yeah.
Which I mean,
and the reason why their skin is black, or I guess their shell, if you want to call it that. Is because it's basically bruised because of how fast they
grow. Yeah. Oh, that is cool.
So it's basically just like bruising.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which I thought was like kind of like,
that's neat.
that sounds terrible,
Yeah, but, I always thought it was one of those like, oh, it's an insect, because I mean that's kind of what it's.
Sure, yeah. I mean, beetles and stuff like that. Yeah. But yeah, apparently no, it's because it's growing fast, and it's kind of like bruising, and that's what it is.
I thought that what it did for consumption, because you know how every time they find them, they've melted through like a whole bunch of metal and different matter. So I kind of just figured that what it did was it would melt, and whatever would melt, it would.
That's actually kind of cool.
Intake, and that's what made it, the hard skin, because it's melting metal and all this other kind of material. So that kind of that was my approach to it. But again, I could never find something that was like, this is the actual process to them growing. So I was just like, baby, 7-foot tall creature that's gonna kill you in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
There's no in between.
Yeah, and it I mean it's the same thing with like the gestation cycle. I mean, your facehugger latches onto you, plants its embryo, falls off and dies.
Yes.
And then a couple hours later, you have a full on,
I think that they actually specified that a little bit more. I forgot where I read it, but I remember seeing a thing that said that for a regular face hugger, the period before it hatches from you is supposed to be like anywhere around 24 hours or about 24 hours.
That's fucking scary.
Yeah, it's just that it feels a lot shorter because people get knocked out. So by the time you wake up, you're already maybe like halfway through that cycle. What I don't get is like, how do they not feel it? Because it's huge, dude, and it's kind of just moving around.
Yeah, and he's like, hey, something's impeding on my lungs.
Yeah, like it's just a little hard to breathe. It's like,
yeah,
okay. It's just.
Then again, I mean, I guess think of it like a cat, kind of, I don't know, make it self-fit or something. I really don't know. And the skin isn't really, hard either. So
yeah, because
it's
it's
kind of
super warm, like it's real slimy and everything too. Yeah. So I mean that would make sense how it moves around and everything. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was kind of.
Yeah, no, you're right though. Like, how do you not feel it?
Yeah.
But I think Ellen Ripley explains it because her gestation period was a lot longer.
Yeah, hers was a couple of days.
Yeah, hers is a while. But then again, she had a queen, so maybe that gestation period takes a little bit longer, maybe because it has to develop
more.
Yeah, a little bit more.
Which again would make a lot of sense.
Yeah,
because those things are huge.
But I want to say that she implies that she can, feel it moving around in there and stuff like that, and that's pretty fucked up.
I think towards the end, it's implied. Yeah, I think towards the end she's like, I can feel it or something like that. But after she's already done the CAT scan showing the alien like around her heart and everything.
Yeah, now she knows it's there. Can she feel it moving, or is it just her own head?
Yeah,
like, I can feel it now. Like, oh crap. But then again, it does show her like she's having trouble breathing.
She's having the random nosebleeds.
Yeah, she's like, hey, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, like she. That's what something that I thought was pretty cool from part 3 was that little detail that it's showing her health slowly get worse as time goes by, and in the other ones you don't really see that. It's just like, hey, I'm fine. Oh God, my chest.
Yeah. And
it's like in a minute everything's done, and with her you could see her getting sick. Just getting that fatigue and everything. But at the end, she looks all messed up.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the xenomorph life cycles. A trip, and like I said, this is what I know, and it seems like that's what you're following and what you know about the lore of this particular universe. And then you have but you can't. I mean, it's kind of hard to argue because Ridley Scott basically started it, and then this person added to it, and then this person added to it, and then the fourth guy added a little bit to it.
We don't count the fourth guy.
Yeah, we don't count the fourth guy, but I mean, maybe we can. But then Ridley Scott said, no, you know what, I'm just gonna
do it again.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it again. Yeah. And it's like, oh no, but I wish I could watch. Maybe I should give it a chance and go back and rewatch some of the stuff. Maybe I can understand some of the stuff a little bit better, but I don't know. I'd rather do other things now.
you got better things to do this time around. I don't know. I want to go back and rewatch them again because my brain does this thing that it just mashes everything together.
I noticed.
Yeah, so like I get parts of like different movies and I think they're in like completely different sequence.
It's in this movie, isn't it? Like, no, it's in the other one.
Yeah, it's just like a random pool of information that I kind of just grab from. I do need to go back and rewatch part 4 because it's been a while, and that one's the one that's like least fresh in my mind compared to the other ones.
It's not bad, and I mean, I don't know, maybe we can watch it later or something like that because I know you have to work tomorrow. But I mean, it's not a bad movie, and that one has its own director's cut, and it's a little bit longer. But I don't think it really does anything more for it than
than with the other three.
Yeah, than with.
Yeah, because I mean, this one took it to like a weird place with the human alien hybrid thing, like, and then like the baby just looked like a skull, but it still had.
You can maybe pull that up and like.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna show that in the
something.
middle so y'all can see that deformity thing. Because it didn't have eyes, did it?
Nah,
like, it was just
had,
like sockets.
it had eyes, but it's
They were like super sunken in.
like
then
sunk in, yeah, but it had eyes.
Yeah, and then I could just see like
weird
the
little
nostril thing.
Nose, yeah. It's gross, and it just.
I mean, and that's a completely different. That's not. I mean, that's not even bringing in because technically, Predators is in the same universe. Because it shows that Predator had the alien skull in his ship.
The Queen, yeah.
Yeah, like the Queen skull in his ship, and then
among
there's
other things, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's like the whole AVP movies,
which are just they're trash.
they could have done them a lot better.
Yeah.
We came up with a better way of doing AVP.
Did we?
Yeah, remember we were talking about it? That we would pretty much steal the plot, or I would steal the plot to Predators when they're in the planet.
Oh yeah,
and,
sure, man.
And
yeah.
that made like a lot more sense. It's like you have the humans exploring. It's like, hey, you know what? There's this planet. It has the minerals that we need. Just so happens, so that's a predator hunting planet, like in Predators, and that's where they have the xenomorphs, yeah. And that's how you would get your cross, and it would make more sense that what they did in AVP.
Oh, look, we found a backwater planet and decided to.
Yeah.
Oh, look, here's the.
We're their gods, and somehow they have a temple in our South Pole.
And they're gonna sacrifice themselves for our hunting pleasure.
Yes.
And we're gonna make some
and then just randomly disappear and never come back.
Yeah, I think
for a couple hundred years.
Yeah, I guess like one of the cool things was that they brought in the female hunter. What's her name? I forgot her name.
Did they? I don't remember.
Yeah, well, not the female predator, but the.
The lady.
Yeah.
The one that gets the marking in her forehead.
Yeah. And that's something that happens in the
comics, no?
In the books, yeah.
Yeah.
They bring out the female, who was.
Is she? Because I know she goes with like a famous hunter too, like the predator that she's partnered with is like a famous predator.
Probably, yeah. Maybe Broken Horn, or I don't remember. There's a whole lore to those guys too. Yeah, it's Machiko. But obviously, in the movies, I mean, it's a different character. But that was probably like one of the cool things that they brought her around. But again, I feel like we were talking about earlier about rushing things, or maybe, not saying something. I feel like they kind of rushed the AVP stuff, and it would have been cool, like if they would have like built it up, like, hey, this happened, and then. A little bit of action. Then part 2, it kind of expands on it. Way more action than part 3. You have
the total conclusion.
Wolf comes up and starts fighting everything. And Wolf.
Because I mean, there's a good way of doing a versus movie. Like I like the Freddy vs. Jason movie. I thought that was a good.
The first one.
Yeah.
Oh, as far as I know,
it's only the one.
Okay, I thought it was pretty good.
I thought that was a good crossover, like the way
had a good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, they did. We're at 28 minutes, so let me pause that real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, so, because they back to the Predator stuff, they expanded a whole bunch to it, to where the Xenomorph got to the Yautja planet, which I don't know what it's called. I'm pretty sure it has like some weird...
Yautja Prime.
That's, super original.
Right.
Yeah, so... And then that expanded even more to where it has like the have alien, have xenomorph, have predator, xenomorph. They can get out of that. Yeah, the alien with second alien with dreadlocks.
Pretty much. And it's a lot bigger, and it's really aggressive, and it's smarter.
I wouldn't mess with that.
Way smarter.
I don't see anyone being able to take that down, like reasonably.
Even the predators had trouble. But then again, I mean, you had that one character, Wolf. Or that one predator character, Wolf, who was one of the elite hunters, and he took up the task of going out there, and he took it on,
Is he the one
honorably
that had like the record for the most xenomorphs killed. That he was like the top hunter in like
No. I don't
their
know.
thing.
Not that I'm aware of. No, that was somebody. It was probably Broken Tusk or something like that. The one that came off the planet.
Yeah, because I remember that there was like this one dude that apparently like he was such good or so good of a predator that he had like one of the highest records of the most aliens killed, and he was high rank enough to where he could have his own clan if he wanted to, but he kind of just did his own thing.
No, Wolf was kind of like that. He was independent. He was a part of a clan, but he just in the movie it shows him kind of like just doing his own thing, and then he gets this distress call and he's like, all right, I'll take the job,
Yeah.
He seems like an independent contractor or something. But no, I mean, yeah, they're the Lord of the Predator or the Yautjas or whatever, they have their own hierarchies and stuff like that, and there's different clans, blooded, unblooded, and now with the introduction of predators, they have these other forms of predators that are, there's like a blood war between predators where they kill and they hunt each other, and but like you said, the AVP stuff, that was just, I don't know.
It was done very poorly. You could tell that not a lot of thought went into that script.
Yeah, and I kind of feel like they did it because everybody
expecting it.
Yeah, or everybody wanted it, and that's not a bad thing. Hey, you want something, hey,
here you go.
Let's give it to the masses.
Yeah,
but do it right.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean,
do it right.
That's my issue with most versus movies, because most of them are just terrible. Predators was a pretty bad one. I hated with a passion Batman versus Superman. Like, that's probably one of the movies that I dislike the most in modern times.
Okay.
The Freddy vs. Jason, like I said, that one was a pretty good one. But for the most part, normally when they do a versus movie, they do it terribly.
Yeah.
Because it's either the director's bias towards one specific character or one franchise, or the team behind the story just doesn't care about the story, which was pretty apparent in AVP.
And not just that, but also like, the director has one idea for it, and it's like, hey, it's following pretty close to what
I wanted to do.
Yeah, or not just, but it's following pretty close to comic book lore. And then you have the big production companies that are like, no, that's not gonna sell.
Yep.
What's your problem? Take that out.
Yep.
No. And all of a sudden you end up with this
mesh.
Why did you say her name?
What was he saying? Martha. What?
Yeah, like
that movie was, God, man. I had so many issues with that movie. Besides the fact that it was like completely biased, like the cartoon one, because the cartoon Batman vs Superman was pretty bad too.
Which Dark Knight?
Yeah, the one where he's like, remember that I'm the man that took you down. It's like, dude, he wasn't fighting like the whole time. Like,
Frank Miller kind of took it to a hardcore extreme. But that is a version, and that's technically, one of the
canons to it.
Not so much canons, but I mean, Frank Miller kind of did some good to it, and he made Batman real gritty and real big and burly and old and grumpy and disgruntled. He's done with everything, obviously, right, as you can tell, and then Joker, all the stuff that happens with him.
Yeah.
And then the way he treats, Superman is real. Then again, I mean, Superman did give him a warning, and Batman did tell Superman, don't fuck with me, because there's some shit, but, and they duke it out, man. But yeah, obviously,
it was like super, super one-sided. Like,
but and
the whole time, the whole movie was like just super one-sided.
Yeah, and not what I mean. Then again, you get introduced to this really random. I'm talking about the comic book Frank Miller's, where Superman goes and catches a nuke, and then it blows up, and he ends up shriveling up into this thing that crashes back onto Earth, who sucks life from the planet, I guess.
Which is a new power that I was not aware he had.
Like, what?
He can drain life from around him.
I mean, that's super random. I'm going off, and I'm not hating, but it was, like you said, I guess it was a little one-sided, but it
was very one-sided.
But Frank Miller, I mean, it's cool, man. Frank Miller's a fan of Batman, and it showed, and it kind of gives it's kind of cool because I think in one of the cool things about the movie, or one of the funner lines, I guess, is when the Batman character is saying, you're not a hero, or you're not you don't have any courage, or you're not
Yeah.
brave. Men are brave. You're not. You know, you're this, you're that. And I was just kind of like, oh man, you know, like you're basically invincible. You can do whatever you want, but me, you know,
I know that I can die at any point, and I'm still doing all of this.
Yeah, and I'm still doing it. Like men are brave. Like that's pretty cool. But or you know, but like you said, it is pretty one sided, and they're I don't know, man.
And I think that's what affected the last one that came out, because Batman became this huge thing when like the Dark Knight movies came out. You know, you had Dark Knight Rises and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what influenced this last one so much, was because everybody at this point is more of a Batman fan than a Superman fans.
Yep.
So they kind of blurred a lot of the lines. Like Batman kind of just hated Superman for no actual reason. Because like, a lot of his stuff was like, oh no, I hate him because he's too powerful. But it's kind of like, okay, that makes sense. And you would have a contingency plan like Batman does, but it didn't explain why he was looking for any reason to take him out. Like that just felt out of character for me.
Well, I mean, I think don't they show in the Batman Superman the beginning of it, like when Superman was having his fight with you know, with the other Kryptonians that came down and stuff like that, don't they show
Lord Zod?
Yeah, Zod.
Yeah, it shows him when like the building is being destroyed and he's like at the bottom.
Yeah, and he has to like help one of his employees or something like that. People are dying. And I guess he just kind of, I don't know, Batman's the Bat, and he has a contingency plan for everything and stuff like that. And that, you know, that's typical Batman stuff.
I don't know, I just felt his motivations were kind of weird.
Yeah, and then in part 2,
it's completely different.
What is it in the second one?
Which is Justice League.
Yeah, the Justice League. It's like real, like, you know, he kind of feels bad about what he did.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I fucked up.
Yeah, you know, he was a symbol of courage. He was this. He was
a good
that.
Guy.
Yeah,
and I kind of fucked it up.
Yeah, I kind of fucked it up. I don't know. I'm really curious to see what this other version is gonna, or the Zack Snyder cut or whatever is gonna do.
Because I was gonna say, because Ben Affleck's not Batman anymore, and
apparently not.
The dude that played Superman is no longer Superman either. So I don't think they're making the Justice League movie. And if they are, they're recasting it, and it's probably gonna have a different story because your main two actors are out of the picture.
I don't know. I mean, I know Robert Pattinson, the dude from Twilight, is supposed to be the new Batman.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be its own thing.
Okay.
It's not. It is. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I'm aware, it's its own storyline separate from the whole previous universe.
Yeah, I think I remember, now that you talk about it, I think it's supposed to be like a Batman Year 0 or Year 1 or something like that. It's supposed to be a really early version of
when
Batman.
He still wasn't as good and gets his ass kicked by random thugs.
Yeah, so, and as far as like Henry Cavill not playing Superman, I don't know. I heard that he still had some interest in that. I don't know. I could be wrong. Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, man. Like, I mean, I heard somewhere around that they were going to make a Flash movie, and that Flash was basically going to do a Flashpoint and reset everything, and I guess that we're going to start again.
See, that would make sense, because going back to the JLA movie, it hints at Flashpoint.
Yes,
but it hints
does.
At it through.
I think if that's what that scene was supposed to be.
Then, but it's weird because it's a vision. It's two different visions.
Yeah, he goes to sleep and he has like a nightmare.
Yeah, one of them is like Superman ruling the world, I think. Yeah. And then the second one is Flash going out through the Speed Force and be like trying to warn them, and then being sucked back in, which is kind of. I mean, I thought it was like super cool, and that was another issue that I had with the Justice League movie, that I felt like it was doing like too many things at once, and it couldn't concentrate because it shows the dark side. It showed the dark side symbol, the Omega symbol at one point. So it's like, oh, they're gonna go into dark side, and then it shows the Flash, kind of popping up. It's like, oh, so they're doing Flashpoint, and then it ends up taking this completely different turn. So you're kind of like, okay,
what's
so
happening here?
What story are you guys gonna stick with? You can't do all three.
Yeah.
I mean, you could, but it probably wouldn't be very good.
Yeah, that, or you're just gonna end up rushing it, and you just end up with a shit product. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And
unfortunately, I know what you mean.
Some people don't know any better, and they just go out and watch the movies, and they say, hey, that's a really good movie, and that's cool too, man. You know, those movies, everybody has their opinions, and if it's a good movie to you, but hey, man, that's cool. You know, it's kind of, but for people that
follow it,
and they're just kind of like, you see them disappointed, you know, hey, you know, it's for, I don't know, you just...
That's my issue with a lot of the modern Marvel movies and stuff like that, because it's like, for example, Civil War. Civil War was a really good movie.
Okay.
I thought it was a really good movie, but if you're expecting Civil War from the comics,
yeah, no,
it's a complete, you're like, what the hell am I reading? Like, this has nothing to do with the original content to it, which I think the story to the comics was better. Like, it made more sense than what the actual cinematic universe did to it. And then you have, you know, the Infinity War, which there's no way you can do it justice, because it was like a multi-part comic series that you're gonna condense into like 3 hours.
Yeah, more or less, yeah.
Well, and even then it was a two-parter movie, because it was like part 1 and part 2 technically. And I mean, even then it was just, there's just so much that you can't really do it justice. It's like trying to do was it Crisis on Infinite Earths? Oh. Yeah, it's like good luck, you know, doing multiversal,
which would be really cool, right? All of a sudden, yeah, that'd be really...
Yeah, all the different Superman from, like, every dimension fighting.
One with gray hair. Here comes, you know, Superboy, you know, like...
Yeah.
Nobody's not gonna... You know, people are not gonna be able to understand what's going on. And
yeah, because it's like... Because even if you read the comics, you're still gonna be kind of lost, because there's just so much going on at the same time that you're like, wait, why are you here? And it's like, oh, it's because you got to explain on this other issue from this other storyline. It's like, oh, okay. There's a lot of like back and forth. And there's a couple of YouTube channels that are really good with that, which is the Comics Explained and Comic Storian. Those guys are pretty good. If you haven't seen them,
I don't think so.
Yeah, like they do like the entire rundown of like the...
You said that was on YouTube?
Yeah, that's on YouTube.
Check that out later.
Yeah, they're really, really good. And they both have like different ways of showing it. What the hell was it?
I have no idea. That wasn't me.
Alright, okay, that was weird. That kind of threw me off a bit. Oh, I think it was the GoPro. I think it turned off or something.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, comics are fun.
Comics are great, and they should be, you know, taken as a media on its own. Same thing with you know, cinematic universes. And I think it's, for somebody who follows one particular media, should not hate
on the other.
Yeah, because I mean, you know, it is what it is, and some people, you know, hey, I mean, let them enjoy it, just like the way they let you enjoy whatever you're reading. Even though sometimes, you know, these things mix and match, and then you end up, hey, well, have you seen the movie? Yeah, and then, you know, did you know that Superman this and this, and then to the comic book person, you're just kind of like, you're gonna tell me,
yeah.
You're gonna tell me,
yeah. You do the whole, I'm the elitist. You don't know any better.
Sit down.
Yeah.
You better have a seat. You know, like
which is really funny, because when me and my girlfriend go watch all the Marvel movies, she likes to watch them with me compared to her with the family, because I can explain to her everything that's going on, I guess. Because I mean, sometimes they'll show something that doesn't really make sense, or they don't fully explain it until like
what's going
later on. Yeah, she'll be like, what's up with the stones? And it's like, okay, well, you know, they're called the Infinity Gems. You put them all together, you can do some pretty messed up shit. So I mean, that and that's something that I like about the movies too, that it opened up the comic medium to a lot more people.
Yeah, and you know what, like, as a kid, you know, I remember watching like X-Men, you know, the cartoon and all that stuff, and Spider-Man, you know, all that good stuff, and you love these characters, you know, Deadpool, Spider-Man, you know, all these, Wolverine, Cyclops, you know, whatever. You had these Ninja Turtles was another one, and then all of a sudden they take to the big screen, and it's kind of like
completely different.
Yeah, it's completely different, and then all of a sudden people start like, you know, people start liking what you were into.
Yeah, like 20 years ago.
Yeah, and all of a sudden it becomes, you know, totally cool and normal. And it's just kind of like, you know what, I want it back.
Yeah. You it was like your own little thing. Like, this is my thing.
But it's cool because now, you know, everybody knows about it, and it's getting the notoriety that it deserves, you know,
Yeah.
or certain characters are coming out, and it's like, hey, cool, man, I didn't know about that character. Well, now you do. You know what I mean? Like,
which is cool because, again, comics had that stigma where only certain types of people enjoyed comics, and everybody else was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. And then they watched the movies. It's like, okay, imagine that, but with a lot more action, because most of it you can imagine in your head, and it looks a lot more brutal in your head.
Yeah.
And, you know, and they can go into like a lot more detail. Like, you know, you take the World War Hulk movies and stuff like that. Like, those issues were like,
World War Hulk was really good.
it was like amazing. You get like the different versions of him, the Planet Buster version of him,
ripping holes in the fabric of the universe.
Yeah, it's like
one punch.
Was it he takes one step and he messes the entire the whole plate, the whole tectonic plate of the continent. Like, he just messes it up. It's like, God damn, dude, that's. There's no way you can do that justice in the movie.
Yeah, no, not at least not yet. Maybe if they like continued it, like I feel like Harry Potter, like if they like Harry Potter had how many movies?
8. Because one of them was like a 2-parter.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I don't know how I've never read the Harry Potter books.
Never. Nah.
Okay, so
I don't know how to read.
So please tell us. You know, did the books do Harry Potter justice? And if they did, super cool. If they didn't, I'd be cool if they took a hero, say the Hulk, or Batman, and they did that, and they just kept going and going and going and going, and building up that character, and just kind of showing you how he progresses as Bat, or as the Hulk, and from radiation poisoning all the way to, you know, whatever they're trying to get to. Or maybe Civil War or something like that.
Yeah, or whatever. His different versions, which is like Dr.
Red Hulk, Grey Hulk, whatever.
Grey Hulk, yeah.
You know, like, it'd be cool if they did that with one character and they just kind of kept going with it. I think that would be a good way to build up. Because, I mean, in Harry Potter, you know, it starts, he's a kid. And it keeps throwing out the Voldemort stuff and Tom Riddle.
All the way to he graduates high school.
Yeah, until you finally see this noseless thing, and
they'd have that. Apparently, from what I've heard, the movies are really good, but the books, the fight scenes in the books are supposed to be like really, really good.
Okay,
because I have a couple of friends that are really into them, and
should have brought them on here.
I should have, because I didn't know we were gonna talk about Harry Potter.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But... he told me that there's one part in the book where they're having like a battle in Hogwarts. I guess this is towards like the endings of the movie, and I'm not sure if you remember this, but giants are supposed to be immune to magic, so they can just like balance everything back. And apparently in the book it describes a scene where like 4 or 5 different wizards are shooting at Hagrid, and he just kind of does this with his arm, and you know, because he's immune to. Yeah, so he's kind of just walking, and he's like a walking tank. And then same thing, spoilers, you know, for whoever hasn't seen it, the scene where Malfoy dies, and when he battles Harry, I think he battles Harry. He kind of dies for a little bit. Okay. In the books, apparently, it was also supposed to be like super brutal, like that spell.
You sure it was Malfoy?
Yeah, it was Malfoy.
Malfoy dies?
Yeah, he dies for like a little bit, and then they bring him back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think Snape creates that spell or something like that. But from what I remember, the way it was explained to me, the way that spell's supposed to actually look is that it's supposed to like literally cut you in half. Oh. Yeah, so like in the book, like you just see, or they've
people
described
being split in half.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be like super brutal, and I was like, man, I can see why they didn't add that to these movies, because a lot of little kids watch these movies.
Yeah, but I mean, so expanding on a character from a certain age or maybe point in time of his career as a superhero or whatever, you know, going through all the stuff and attaching yourself to characters and character build-ups and so on, you know, I think that would be really cool if they would have done that with some of these. Like,
they've kind of done it. It's just that they don't stick with the comic stories, because they kind of did it with Hulk. Hulk had 3 movies.
Yes, but they were pretty much
isolated movies. But
let's face it, man. The first Hulk was garbage.
Yeah.
With what is Banner or whatever his name is?
I don't know. I like the actor from Part 2 and Part 3. It's the same dude, no? The guy from Fight Club?
Part 2, yeah, it's the dude from Fight Club. What's his name?
That's the one that I like the best.
Yeah, that's the big raging Hulk.
Yeah, that was my favorite one.
Oh,
and then again, it kind of also did it with Iron Man, because it takes you from when he's literally in the cave, makes the prototype arch for his chest, all the way to the end of him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. And apparently the Iron Man movies got a lot of heat because, I mean, I don't know. Apparently they weren't very good. I don't know. I haven't seen them.
I liked all of them.
But I think
Part 3 was kind of weird.
I think people have had problems with it because I guess it didn't stick to certain aspects of comic book lore.
I don't know. I haven't. Michael would probably be Duck would probably be an authority here. Yeah.
To talk about that, but yeah. I don't know, man. Like I just wish that they took their time more with these particular movies. Yes.
Yeah, because I mean, there's so much.
And even then,
they can do with it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like they kind of got a little out of hand with them.
Yeah.
And I think they just kind of stopped focusing on movies, like other movies. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, because I mean, like for like the last maybe 10 years,
it's all been comic books.
Yes, it's just all, and not just comic book movies. They're all just Marvel movies.
Or that, not just that, but I mean, Star Wars got thrown into the mix too, and they made some Star Wars movies,
and then they did the unnecessary live action versions to all the Disney movies. So they had like the live action Aladdin, Lion King.
Yeah.
From what I heard, most of them were pretty bad, except for like maybe Aladdin. I didn't see Aladdin.
I did.
I don't know how good or bad it was.
It was okay. I mean, Will Smith did pretty. He was a good
genie.
Yeah. They throw in those little Easter eggs, where like, he was the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh.
And then there's a scene where you see the genie in the background, and he's wearing the colors of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And it's like, oh, cool. You see it in the back. That's funny. Yeah. And seeing those songs come to life and stuff like that. But some of them were just kind of like,
I don't know. I need to go back and watch it.
That's the only live action that I've seen Disney movie wise.
I saw Lion King, and
I'm not gonna go through that pain again. I will not watch that.
It didn't do it just like it didn't.
I still want to see Simba be sad.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
I refuse.
The problem with it was there were animals. It's hard for them to convey emotions like on their face. So a lot of the time you couldn't really get that expression out of them. Without making them look cartoony, because they're actual lions and shit like that. But I mean, it wasn't terrible.
I'm not gonna watch it because I don't want to cry. I'll be screwed up.
No, but it was a good movie. I did enjoy it. But I felt like it was unnecessary.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Like it didn't add to it at all.
Yeah, and I feel like I don't know why they're doing that now, bringing all these live action things into the picture.
It's a money grab,
I guess. Yeah, and I feel like it became like pop culture or something almost. Like
pretty much,
it's everywhere now, and that's not a bad thing. But it's kind of like, all right, let's get into some original stuff. Like
I mean, there's not a lot of good original movies anymore. Like I think like the last good movie that I can say that I legitimately enjoyed that wasn't like a Marvel movie or whatever was Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I haven't seen that one, and I've heard good things.
You need to watch it. It's a good movie. I like that it wasn't all CGI. Like they did the actual.
Benicio del Toro gave some good.
Yeah, so you had dudes in actual suits, and the suits were really well made, and I was like, it's a good movie. I enjoyed. The ending leads to there being maybe a part 2, which if there is, I'm like super looking forward to. But I liked that they did not follow the traditional formula to the full extent. Because whenever you see a horror movie, you think beginning, there's an issue, happy ending kind of thing, right? And this one kind of mixes it up a bit. And
cool.
It's pretty cool. You should definitely watch it. I don't want to say any more without spoil it.
Maybe when I go home or something like that, I'll check it out. It'd be nice if we can get back to, I don't know, maybe some more original movies. And if not, I know that there's been a lot of movies that have been taken from like what was it, like Asian movies that have been coming around, like Battle
Yeah.
Royale, and
There's they did a TV show for The Grudge
oh yeah,
on Netflix,
yeah,
and
G1 or something.
yeah,
like
and
that.
apparently it's supposed to be really good. It's supposed to be a little confusing because it does a couple of time skips,
Mm-hmm.
but it's supposed to be a really good show, and it kind of, instead of like adding more to the story, it kind of just it's called like irons out the actual lore behind it. Like, okay, this is how the curse started, and this is how the curse works, without messing with the movies. Like, it still falls within place. It's like, okay, all of that makes sense. And I think it does like a couple of like little retcons here and there, but nothing major. Like, it's supposed to be just little subtle things to make everything else make sense. They explained that.
Yeah, I don't know. The movies were fun, but I don't know if I get bored enough, I'll turn it on as like background music or background noise while I play guitar or something like that. But well, I guess that just maybe that'll be a topic for a different
different day.
Yeah,
Yeah, we need to have like a scary thing, like a scary movie or scary show kind of thing.
Well, we're a couple of months from October. Maybe
Yeah, but I can get this out of the way.
Friday the 13th.
Ah, dude, that'd be cool. We can
Freddy
have
Krueger.
we can have like for October like a horror thing.
Nightmare on Friday the 13th Street or something stupid like that.
I dig it. All right, so we got 2 minutes already. ¿Qué estás buscando? Quítate de estas páginas, hay gente.
Shut up.
Te van a ver, aquí están mis papás. Mamá.
sí soy. Ready?
Yeah. So 3, 2, 1. So yeah, no, we should definitely have a horror theme thing. You can go over scary movies, scary shows, scary stories, man.
Tell us.
Yeah, let us know on the comments somewhere
maybe we can do, like,
below.
a poll or something.
Yes, like below on the site, Into the Jarro, or on our many other pages like Tequila in the Jar on Facebook, Tequila in the Jar on Instagram, and potentially YouTube. We don't know about that one yet. We're still looking into that one.
Yes.
Did you decide to do your page after all?
So I am gonna do it. I just need to throw down the music, like I was showing you earlier, for ideas. But I'll show you that stuff later.
Whenever you decide to come up with a name, let me know, and we'll shamelessly plug it here and be like, "Hey, look, check it out." Just don't follow him. Follow us instead.
Or we can do both.
Or we can do both. Yeah, I can dig both of them.
Let's see if you can hear it.
Picks it up a little bit.
Yeah, it's just a DI.
That's cool. So we are slowly improving everything. So I don't think it's always gonna stay like this. We are slowly building it up. So we are gonna be upgrading our video a bit more. We want to improve our lighting a bit more. I think the audio doesn't sound terrible.
I don't think so either. But
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if we can.
I mean, eventually we're gonna have to improve it.
Yeah.
And definitely get a different location, because as great as this place is, it needs something. You know,
Maybe we do it at my house too every once in a while or something.
I'll take the little barrilito over.
Yes.
This is just people know. This is an actual tequila barrel from the city of Tequila in Jalisco. Yeah, one of my many travels. I would do the grito, but I can't do it. I'm not Mexican enough to do it.
You have the stamp.
I do.
You're approved.
I'm there. I cannot hide. If they ever question me and they pull up my arm, I cannot hide. I have the stamp. Yeah, man, it's cool. It's not unique because everybody has it, but it's cool. It gives me character. You know, I was a tough baby. I could take something that would scar me forever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's pretty brutal.
Yeah, that should not be. I hope they don't have it anymore. So is that gonna be a wrap?
I'd say yeah, that's a wrap. I mean, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for hopefully still following us for maybe like an hour and a half that we've been recording at this point. And we'll see you again hopefully next week. Later.